If Russia resumes airstrikes on Aleppo, its aircraft carrier could play a key role in the operation. But for these warships, the route is almost as important as the destination. Moscow wants the world to see that Syria is a red line for Moscow, and it won't be backing down. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Moscow.
Well, the naval analyst Paul Beaver told me earlier that using this route was not normal practice for Russia.
It's very unusual for the Russians to decide to deploy down the North Sea, through the Straits of Dover, and then down the Channel and out through Ushant. Normally they go around the top of Scotland, down past the Hebrides and past Ireland on a deployment. And actually that's probably the quickest route. Now, this is very much about power play. This is what the military call force projection, and they want to be seen to be doing these things. Earlier they were off Norway 2 days ago. They were operating aircraft. They put out a notice to airmen saying that they would be conducting fast jet operations, and we saw for the first time their Sukhoi and MiG aircraft, the first time we've had a good chance to look at those. They've got some new helicopters on board as well. So this is a fully fledged aircraft carrier with all of its air group intact. So this is playing to so many audiences. It isn't just us and NATO, but as Steve Rosenberg was saying, it's also, of course, to Moscow and to the Russians themselves. And then when it gets into the Mediterranean, it's going to make all of those countries also very much aware that Russia still has that capability to deploy a long way from its home base in the Northern Fleet.
So it looks very big, very impressive. Or does it? There's a lot of black smoke coming out of it. How old is it?
Yes, I saw the black smoke as well, and I thought, looking at that, that this is a ship which is less than efficient at burning its fuel. The ship itself is a couple of decades old. It was certainly designed during the Cold War, and it's been modernised over the years to be able to operate the latest jets. Russia didn't have conventional jets on its aircraft carriers in the Cold War. It tended to specialise in anti-submarine warfare helicopters off the Moscow class, the Moskva class, and then when Kuznetsov came along, initially it was using very much like a version of the Harrier that the Russians had. And what they've done, though, is modified the ship. She hasn't been at sea a lot, and it's really interesting to see her. I think the last time I remember her being at sea was about 5 years ago. But the aircraft carrier is part of it. Of course, the other thing is Peter the Great, the battle cruiser, which has cruise missiles which have a nuclear capability, although I don't suppose they've got those on the ship now.
But that's the case. You don't know, do you?
Well, we don't know. Then that's the whole point of nuclear deterrence, of course. But that gives them the capability with the conventionally armed weapon systems to be able to really dominate an area of Syria and, in fact, any coastal area. So this is a powerful group sending a powerful message. It just also happens to be, of course, Trafalgar Day here, but I think that's purely circumstantial. I don't think the Russians realised that they were coming through and getting HMS Duncan and HMS Richmond at sea on Trafalgar Day. So there's a little bit of irony there, perhaps.
Paul Beaver there, speaking to Simon in the last hour. While the eyes